EQ, the EQ sections on consoles vary widely, like what's going to be involved in them. It can be from, you can have fixed, semi-parametric, fully parametric. Lower end consoles will generally have a low, mid-range, and a high. And those will be, the low and the high are going to be shelves, and the mid-range will be, generally you can sweep it so you can move it to a particular frequency, but it'll be a parametric bell. Do you want to go back to the mixer? Okay, here's my EQ for this one. Here's what a shelf EQ looks like. So this is, if in your car stereo, if it has like bass treble, that's what it's adjusting. It's a shelf. It's set at a certain frequency, it sort of builds up to it, and then it's just that frequency all the way back. So as you boost the highs or lows, you're just boosting generally from like, on highs it'll be like 10K and up, and then on lows it's usually like 80 and back. This green thing here is the high pass filter that we set a little bit earlier. And then generally what you're dealing with is like parametric filters, so it's a parabola. So whatever frequency it's set to, that's the middle of it, and then it'll sort of lop off on each side. You can, on some of them, you can have a Q value, which allows you to adjust the width of it. You can go really narrow to really wide. Generally, as a general rule, if you're cutting, you'd cut skinny, check, 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 check. So there's sort of a frequency that's going to be a problem with either in the speakers or it's just because of the room. I can cut that out sort of surgically with a narrow band. If I want to add some top end now, I'll do it wider based around a particular frequency, and that just makes it more musical because it sort of comes in and goes out. It's not as sort of sharp as a boost. Yeah. Any questions on that? The EQ? When I said like there's some that are fixed parametric, that just means that you can't move where they are. It's just like it'll be your mid-range knob, so it just boosts or cuts in the mid-range. You can't change the frequency. This console, the EQs on it are, you can sweep the frequency, and then there's a Q button. So there's a button that's like wide or skinny. So there's no Q knob where you can like adjust the width. It's just either this or this, and then you can sweep them. And then the top frequencies are the top and low are those shelves again. All right, go back to the slides. The aux section, each aux knob is a volume send to the appropriate aux send. It can be pre or post aux. So generally use pre-fader for monitors, post-fader for effects. Can anyone tell me why you'd want to do that? Come on. That would be part of it. It could be. It's a bit similar than that. So no. So the clue is in the pre or post fader. So the fader is the slider that I'm using to control the volume. If I send to a monitor, do I want the send to be before or after this? Before. So it's pre-fader. Because as I'm making mix changes for the house mix, do you want your acoustic guitar going up and down in your monitor mix? No. So you go pre-fader. With effects, you want the opposite to happen. So if I'm turning down the lead vocal, I want the reverb volume to follow. So if I have my fader all the way up for the reverb, if I want to bring their volume down and the reverb stays, because it's pre-fader, it stays exactly where I set it, now you just have way too much reverb because it's not matching anymore. It doesn't mix together. So as I pull a fader up and down, I want the send to the effect unit to go up and down as well. So you would use post-fader sends for that. The other use case for this, and I was working with Dale on this one at his church, if you're setting up a live stream mix and you don't have a person to man it. A post-fader mix is usually a better way to go because it'll follow your mix changes. So build your mix, throw in some headphones, make some fader adjustments in the aux to sort of get a nice level tone there. But then throughout the service, as you turn up something for a solo, it turns up in the live stream mix as well. So you get a better mix for your online mix as well. It's like having two people. It sort of follows the first person. That's sort of the cheaty way to get a better mix if you only have one person. Pan. So there's two uses for it. The second one is only really on analog consoles. The main use is stereo imaging. So we have two speakers here that creates a stereo image. I just have to remember where panning is on this thing. No, I can't find it. Can you pan me up there? It's the one called speak, and then just grab the pan knob, go left and right. So if I keep, do you find it? It's under the screen. Yeah. So just select my channel. You got it? Okay, check. So pan it one way and then pan it the other way. So it's over there now. Yeah, and then you can go the other way. So if you have a stereo system, if you just put it back in the middle now. If you have a stereo system, it's a good way to create space. So one of the drawbacks of a mono sound system, which is what we have, is if you close your eyes and try to point at a particular sound, if you have a band playing, it's all going to be right here because it's in the middle. When you get into stereo, you can sort of spread some stuff out, which creates some space so it's easier to hear individual things. You can get a little out of hand with it if you go too far, but you can now go like, oh, the piano's over there, the electric guitar's over there, the singer's there, there, and there. If you sort of close your eyes and imagine where you're hearing it from, and it's because our ears are going, oh, it's louder on this side, so the thing must be on that side. That's the basic use of panning. Generally, so hard panning is going all the way left, all the way right. The only things I'll do that with are full stereo instruments. So my piano is a stereo miking system. That's panned hard left and hard right because both mics are picking up the whole thing. It's just one mic is just picking up a little bit more of the other one. So it makes the piano just wider. Same thing with the keyboard. If you have stereo electric guitar, so you're running 2 amps into 2 mics, you can do the same thing and you just get a wider image out of it. When you're getting into like positional stuff, I generally just try to match what's on the stage. So if we have, singer, 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 this one's a little bit to the right, this one's in the center, this one's a little bit to the left. And then I generally do it from the audience perspective because that's what then it matches what they're seeing. No. Bass, I generally, like low end, I'll try to keep it in the center. You just want it hitting the subwoofers. And then like the high end will come out. But like if you have acoustic and electric, I might split them up just a little bit. When you get into like actually like positional stereo stuff, you don't want it to go too far because only the people in the middle are really getting stereo. The people on the wide end are only really hearing one speaker. So if you pan your electric guitar like 70% one way and your acoustic the other way, one side's getting electric, one side's getting acoustic, and then the middle is the only one that's getting both. So I would do like 15, 20% or something like that, just a little bit out. It just creates a little bit of space in the middle. Generally, it was where I like to keep the vocals because then it's just sort of more present. Now, that again, you still need a stereo system, so I can't pan in here because it's a mono system. This is a stereo system, but we don't use these generally. For acoustics, or not acoustics, analog, it was also used for group assignment. So if you, instead of sending it to the left, right, you're sending it to all the group buttons were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you could use them as stereo. If you had left the pan in the middle, it'll send the signal equally to both group 1 and group 2, and then you use the two of them together in stereo. But if you wanted that instrument to be in group 1 and you wanted this instrument to be in group 2, you could pan one left and one right, and it'll send the one to group 1 and the other to group 2. So it's not really a thing with most digital boards. They either have stereo or mono groups. They don't care about the number. But if you actually, later, if you come up and look at this one, on the pan knob, it says left, right, but it also says odd, even. And that's for group assignment. On or mute. Yamaha, I love them, but I hate them. So Yamaha consoles use on buttons. So all these buttons just above the faders, if you want to hear something from them, they need to be in and lit up. On every other console in the world, basically, if that light is on, the channel is muted. So you have to make sure you know which one you have. But yeah, Yamaha in general, there's probably another brand that does the same thing, but they use on buttons. You have to make sure you know which one you have there, but I hate it. I like mutes. So if it's a mute when the light's on, that won't pass audio. If it's an on-off switch, if it's unlit, it won't pass audio.